accidentally killed Waka Flocka's homeboy at the Costco in Brand. I don't know. Waka Flocka came to see me or something. Yeah, YouTube took. Oh man. Yeah, you. And I was just eating a hot dog or whatever with my auntie or whatever out in the Costco, and I don't know. This black guy was with his white girlfriend or whatever, and they were like eating or whatever. I was eating, and we were at a separate table. I was at the handicap table. So, and everything was pretty fine or whatever. I just barely glanced at them or whatever and had the hot dog or whatever. $1.50. Get a hot dog and a fountain drink at Costco. And me and my auntie are sitting there. You know, she's quite old. She has a broken hip or whatever. She's sitting down. She's bought groceries or whatever. It's that time of the month. And um, I didn't assume anything of the people or nothing at the time or whatever. But they were just enjoying their food or whatever on a date or something. Everything was fine or whatever. But then they left or whatever. The other people that were beside us or whatever, sort of, or down a little bit or whatever. I mean, I noticed there were some looks exchanged or whatever. Um, but everything seemed to be pretty normal or whatever. But at the same time or whatever, I was a little bit weary or whatever. But I wasn't at the same time. I wasn't thinking anything of it. And then after quite a while, we proceeded outside of the Costco or whatever. Me and my auntie or whatever. She being in like an electronic wheelchair or whatever. And I'm behind her or whatever, making sure everything's good with her and everything like that. Uh, and that's when we're coming out the very front of the Costco after they check your receipts. And there's a group of black individuals, and they look quite angry. But I didn't really notice them really. I'm just walking like right behind my auntie in her wheelchair, and I'm just like face completely front ways, like walking without like moving my head left or right or really. I'm just focused on getting back to the vehicle and loading groceries or whatever. And what is it called? Next thing I know, I notice out of my left peripherals, one of the black individuals is quite angry. He has a certain kind of face, sort of aggressive with the nature towards to kind of come to spin around on me, and he's got a quite a large firearm hanging out of his right pocket or whatever. And he was going for it, and it was sort of like I was just coming where I was just about to pass him, but I wasn't even past him yet. And he looked like he had the intent to grab that firearm and shoot me in the back of the head if I was to continue to pass, just go to the vehicle. This is just coming out of the Costco. So he was blocking entrance from the Costco doors or whatever to exit. And there were several of them, at least five of them or whatever. I hadn't noticed Waka Flocka Flame at the time or whatever, but what is it called? I just it was his firearm was hanging out of his pocket or whatever. I noticed his hand and his arm, flex up. He was ready to just grab it and do his 180 and try to assassinate me or whatever. And what is it called? He, you just see the one other male that was originally eating the hot dog or whatever with the woman. This wasn't the same male with the firearm, and he was smiling at a sexual level to the male with the firearm. And there was also that female that was showing her buttocks now or whatever to the male with the firearm, as well as the male that was smiling to the male with the firearm. And once I comprehended all those things, I immediately grabbed his firearm out of his pocket before he could grab it. Like probably the exact second he was going for it, I was just a little 1 second quicker. It was like it slipped through his hands, and I didn't even know it was all real, really, because I wasn't carrying a firearm. So this firearm was introduced by him, which I'm assuming was an illegal firearm, and he didn't have it properly stored on him or anything of that nature. Uh, so I just assumed it was an illegal firearm. The way he had it handing out of his pocket, and also at the same time that he was attempting to turn around and assassinate me or whatever. Uh, that's when I grabbed it or whatever, and I didn't even know, like, time kind of went sort of weird or whatever, and the firearm, because I took him as a potential threat or whatever to my life as well as my auntie, quite possibly. At the time, the way they were looking towards us and the way he had that firearm and he's going for it on him, on his person and everything. He's spinning around to do that aggressive, disgusting, sexual, deviant 180 or whatever assassination to me in front of that Costco or whatever. I don't know if it had anything to do with what happened inside when I was eating the hot dog or whatever. But I managed to disarm him, and when I grabbed that revolver, I began firing or whatever, and I shot him in his head or whatever, and he dropped. And it was like a deck of cards. It just like, it just kind of like flood. It was like a fluttering sound. His whole body just completely gave in and just ragdolled on the ground really fast. It was like he was standing there as a strong black man, and then I hit him in his head with the gun, with a bullet, just one bullet right in the back, and he just dropped like a deck of cards or whatever. And then I shot the other threats or whatever too. I made some shots on the other threats or whatever, and then I put the gun down or whatever, and I just kind of like set it next to him or whatever because he was basically incapacitated or whatever. The threat. I just put the firearm down for any law enforcement to pick it up or whatever because it wasn't. It was registered to, or it was either stolen, illegal, or registered to the mail that was laying on the ground or whatever. And then, so I just left it on the ground and proceeded to leave or whatever. And uh, it was just a normal day after that. Calmly, what is it called? Calmly loaded the vehicle with the Costco um, groceries. My auntie hadn't even noticed because the firearm didn't make much of a sound. Really, it was weird. And what's it called? Everything was quite normal or whatever. And they were cleaned up by the morticians or whatever. And that's when I noticed Waka Flocka Flame. Um, or no, I think the one guy survived or whatever. He's got a severe brain thing where they've reconstructed his skull or whatever, but I'm not completely sure 100%. But I've been exonerated of the charges due to self-defense or whatever. But it wasn't a good, wasn't a fun thing or anything or like that. It was one of the worst experiences of my life. I wish it never happened. And that wasn't the worst experience, but it was one of those experiences that didn't have to happen. That could have been avoided. There was no reason for them to have stayed past when the point where they should have just left Costco and went somewhere else after they were done have their duties or whatever. They didn't have to do that, and I don't know how it would have ended up. I just didn't see it. There was no other. outcome to it. When I was walking by him or whatever, he was going for that gun. He was going to shoot me and my auntie in the back of the head or whatever. Um, I don't know what it had to do. If it had to do with him knowing me online or whatever, or knowing of me, or if it had to do with something that was just more personal. I have no clue. But that's when I seen Walker or whatever. He was walking or whatever, and then I never seen Walker ever again, really. But I didn't shoot at Waka at all. But that was the story of me having to defend myself at Costco, self defend myself and my aunt. Pretty much the story. I mean, I could go into details, how we had sauerkraut and onions and everything. We asked for that, and I did I had ketchup, mustard, and relish on the hot dog, and I can't remember exactly what fountain drink I had, but and I can't remember the specifics of their groceries, but I'm assuming it was lots of cheese, Asiago, and Parmesan. We were thinking of recipes at the time. Okay, so this is a very unfortunate situation that did unfold or whatever in Brampton or whatever. That's a city near Toronto or whatever. Pretty much, it's part of that greater Toronto area. So, but other than that, it was a pretty good day, and I wish all's well with the other party. Um, I wish it had been. I just wish that situation wouldn't have unfolded. It was sort of a King Von situation. I don't want to. I don't want to look down on the King Von situation or anything, but where King Von attacked sort of first, but this one was with a firearm. The guy was attacking with a firearm or whatever, and I was able to disarm him by luck, I guess. And that's the reason why I'm here today. Stacks Millie DVD. I'm working on a bunch of those. This one's the newest one, Lil Cap Carter with Waka Flocka. It's going to be on the Warren Toronto channel, maybe on Stacks and Millie Vault. Anyway, I'm going to export it, and it'll be up soon. Make sure to subscribe. Stacks and Millie out.